high value man is a successful man. So if you want a high value man to pursue you with the intention of marriage, then these are the traits that he is really looking for. First things first is emotional intelligence and stability. You have to be in control of your emotions. You have to be stable within your emotions. You have to be able to calmly work through your emotions and communicate your emotions with him. And in order to do that, you need to know exactly how it is that you are feeling and how to communicate that with him. You also have to be able to read his emotions. Read his emotions and almost like read a room. Okay, so if he's stressed and you know he's in a stressed mood, you can read that room and do things to cater to him to alleviate his stress. That is the trait of a feminine woman. The next trait is a woman who knows exactly what she wants. You have to know what you want. Ask yourself that question. What is it that you really want? Now, once you know what this is, you have to be able to effectively communicate this with your partner, because men are not mind readers. He cannot read your mind, especially a high value, successful man. He is busy, okay? He doesn't have time to play mind games with you. You need to be able to effectively communicate what it is that you want, what it is that you need, what your standards are. When you do this, he's effectively able to give you exactly what it is that you want, exactly what it is that you need, without this toxic argument and fallings out that can be easily avoided. The next thing is financial stability. He is looking for you to be financially stable. This does not mean that you have to be very wealthy or very rich in your own right. It's not about the money at all. It's about the awareness that comes with being financially stable. You know what it takes to be aware of money. You know what it takes to look after money independently on your own. Bear in mind, this does not mean that he is not going to financially look after you and provide for you. This applies to a man who is a high value man who has worked and hustled for his wealth. He wants to know that he is with a woman who knows what it takes, who will understand the pressures of business. He wants a woman who understands so she can emotionally support him and build him up and give him that positive energy when business is maybe not going as well as it normally is. He doesn't want to be with the woman who just cannot simply relate, doesn't understand the pressures, doesn't understand some of the pain points that he may be experiencing, so cannot give him the support that he actually needs in this moment in time. Next thing is compassion. This is a deep, genuine feeling of empathy and care. It's a concern for suffering and hardships that he may face. This goes completely beyond feeling sorry for someone. It involves a desire to alleviate his pain or the distress that your partner may be feeling by offering him a more positive outlook on the situation or a more positive outlook on life. This is all done with no criticism and no judgment. Next really attractive trait that a high value man is looking for is a woman with a sense of humor. Someone who knows when to not take themselves too seriously. Someone who can have a laugh, who can change the mood when he's just come back from work and he's had a really stressful day and you are just there like a ray of sunshine ready to lighten the mood. One thing that you need to avoid, however, is self-deprecating humor. Don't make jokes at your own expense. So we're not doing any jokes that are demoralizing to yourself. Let me give you an example. Let's say you both go out for dinner and you decide that you want dessert and you are eating this dessert and you're saying, oh, I'm so fat, I've already gained so much weight, and now I'm eating this as well. So what I'm saying is don't do any negative self-talk in front of him and mask it as a joke in front of him, because now what happens is he's going to see you through this new lens that you have constructed that is false, but he can't help to see you through this lens because that's the same lens that you see yourself through. So still on the same topic of sense of humor, you also need to know when to have fun, but also know when to have a serious conversation as well. Because although it's amazing to have a good sense of humor and to have a laugh from time to time, it's also nice to have those serious chats which help develop the relationship and help build that emotional connection between you both and that emotional closeness between you both. The next really important trait that a high value man will look for and will value a lot is a woman that allows him to teach her something. I've mentioned this before and I will mention it again. A man needs to feel like he has a role to play in your life. That's what makes him feel like he has a purpose. That's what makes him feel committed to you, loyal to you, interested in you. So one of the things that I do with my partner is I ask him to explain something to me that I know that he knows a lot about. Firstly, men love to talk about their passions, and they love and adore a woman who takes a genuine interest in the things that they love as well. So if he's explaining something to you and you already know what it is that he's explaining to you, try and avoid saying things like, yeah, I already knew that. Because even if you did, no, you didn't. Allow him to teach you something. So instead of saying, yeah, I already knew that, you could say, I feel like I've heard that before somewhere, but it makes so much more sense now you're explaining it to me. Thank you so much for explaining that to me. I love hearing you talk about the things that you are passionate about. The next trait that a high value, successful man loves is independence and ambition. Now, this doesn't have to be a financial goal that you are working towards. You do not have to be a total boss babe and have your own business, although you can have those things as well, and those things are amazing to have if you do have those. This is more about hobbies. What are your hobbies and interests? What are your passions? Are you committed to your passions? Do you wake up and they give you a whole new lease of life? You're energized by them. You can talk for hours on end about the things that you are passionate about. And that's going to spark a light within you and within him. He's going to feel like, wow, she is all about her hobbies, all about her passions, and it's going to make you more attractive to him. He's going to feel like he's not going to be the sole source of your entertainment, and you can find things to interest yourself and entertain yourself. The next thing that they're looking for is intelligence in conversation. What is the level of conversations you are having with him that spark a fire in him and think, wow, that was a really good conversation. That was a very in-depth conversation. Or wow, I really learned something. Or she has shared her own opinion and her perspective on this topic. That was really insightful. I really liked that. These are all stimulating types of conversations that link in with education. How educated are you? How open to learning are you? How open to growth are you? Are you stuck in this is who I am type of mindset? Or are you constantly looking for ways to improve yourself and diversify yourself and better yourself? So what does this really mean? It's a woman who is well read. She is curious about traveling, or she is just curious about the world in general. You need to be eager to expand your learning and your knowledge through formal education or independent learning. You have to be able to stimulate conversations that are going to spark a shared interest with him or inspire him. The next thing is confidence and self-assurance. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean you have to be the most confident girl in the room. This means that you are confident and self-assured in who you are. Think about it. Some men want a woman who is a little bit more reserved and a bit more shy, so he can shine. Some men want the confident girl who is outgoing, so she can lead and he can sit back and just watch her in all of her glory. Some men are very confident and they also want a woman who is confident too, so they can show up as this power couple and they both have this outgoing, confident energy. You can be any of those types of women. However, you need to be sure of who you are exactly and be confident in who you are. A woman who is confident in her own skin is going to exude charisma and magnetism. The next thing is grace and poise. You need to be aware of your manners. You need to have manners. Manners are free. Being polite is free. A simple please and thank you served with a smile never goes amiss. Never talk about anyone behind their backs. Don't show signs of jealousy, because jealousy is a very ugly trait, and no matter how beautiful you may be, you now appear to be very ugly. The next thing is refined taste. So let me give you an example. If you are someone who is like me, I love jewelry, I love diamonds, you would educate yourself on the quality and the cut and the clarity of diamonds. So now this gives you a more refined edge in this category. If you are someone who enjoys drinking wine, then you would learn more about wine and food pairings and which wine works for which food, etc. If there is something that you are interested in that could be classed as a more refined interest, all you need to do is have a little bit more knowledge on it for it to be considered refined, because you know, like let's say the wine, for instance, you know about food and wine pairings, that could be classed as more refined because now you have the education behind you to back it up. These are things that you can just slip in everyday conversations with your partner that are going to make you seem a lot more well-rounded and put together and more refined. Next thing is a sense of style. You need to identify what type of style suits you, what suits your body, what do you feel the most confident and feminine in, and stick to that. Don't get caught up in trends, don't get caught up in social media and what everyone else is doing. Just stay authentic to yourself and do and wear the things that you enjoy doing. Have your own sense of style. Last but not least is shared values and goals. What do your long-term goals look like? And then what do his long-term goals look like? Do they align with each other? Can they work and exist and coexist alongside each other? Are you guys compatible in the long term? Are your values aligned in the long term? So if you are religious, are you both from the same faith? Is someone willing to learn a little bit more about the other person's faith? Or are you both not religious? And then it's going to work out perfectly. What also falls into this category is also your brand identity as a couple. How are you perceived as a brand, as a partnership, to the people that you love, to your peers, to your friends, to your family? What does that branding look like? And how are you going to maintain this image when you guys are together? As much as we don't want to admit it, we do care about other people's perceptions of us, especially someone who is a more affluent man, who is wealthy, who has worked hard for his wealth, or who has just inherited a lot of money. They are often in places with people who have wealth, who do judge you on your brand identity. And it's really important to sit down with your partner and figure out how you both want to be perceived in your relationship. And how you manage this is, when you do have disagreements with your partner, you are not constantly running to other people and talking negatively about your partner, because you and I both know you're both going to make up in the next 5 minutes, and what you've just told your friend becomes completely irrelevant, but it's now painted a terrible picture of you both. So your communication needs to be effective within the relationship, and make sure that you are mastering and have a clear vision of what your brand identity will look like now and in the long run. So that is a wrap for today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please make sure to subscribe, to stick around. I would love to have you here. If you have any suggestions of any other qualities that you can think of, then let me know in the comments below. And until next time, mwah, I love you. Bye.